We've gotten now at book 6, we've gotten up to this idea of the good, which is like the sun, Plato says. It shines beyond all our kind of earthly senses, right? It shines beyond everything we can see and touch, and it's not the literal sun, which actually is a physical object, but it is like the sun. It is the context of all our sight, all our spiritual sight is illuminated by the sun, which is the idea or the form of the good. It's this very profound idea because it separates, and this is the classic Platonic division, dividing line and distinction, right? It separates ta on, that which is always and permanently, that is which is eternal, from ta gignomenon, that which is becoming or passing away and changing and dying. So we live in this world where, of course, flesh decays, people die, things pass away, everything changes. This was one of the central kind of criticisms that Plato and Socrates were responding to from people like Heraclitus, who said all things are in flux, right? Many of our modern relativists will argue along these lines. Well, maybe somebody is a man today or becomes a woman tomorrow, and maybe there are these kind of edge cases like intersex people that just make it impossible to even talk about categories like men and women at all, and eventually it all kind of dissolves into one of Heraclitus' students, Aristotle says, eventually just moved his finger because he thought speech was impossible. And so Plato was trying to understand how he could push back against that, even though it is true, right, that our perceptions deceive us, and our faculties die away. But still, we know that we are living in this world of meat and death and decay, surrounded by the kind of after effects, the aftershocks of eternal truth, the true, the good, and the beautiful. 2 plus 2 does equal 4. It equals 4 today. It equaled it yesterday, and it will equal it tomorrow. The only people who can question whether that's so are people, undergraduates in philosophy class who sit around and say, well, is the table really there? And Plato kind of wants to say, well, some of these things are stable. They are taught on, and they shine like light. This is a metaphor I've often used, and it's appropriate for the metaphor of the cave, right? They shine like light into our world. So we can't look directly with our physical eyes upon the sun of the good, and yet truth and beauty shine, emanate from the good, and through their influence upon the world, we're able to discern gradually and slowly the objects of true understanding. Right. So this is where Plato kind of gets his reputation for being an abstracted, bloodless, bodiless kind of brain in a jar. And one of the things I'm going to argue today, and we're going to go on, I think, into the next episode as well as we bring this up to the modern day. One of the things I'm going to argue is that Plato is not quite as dualist as he has been accused of being, but he does want to establish this realm of the true, the good, and the beautiful that never changes, so that he can fix his eyes upon it, as Socrates did, and say that whatever else may change, these things remain.